The room went silent so fast it felt like the air itself had been sucked out. Laughter froze on lips. A fork clattered to the marble floor. Somewhere in the background, a birthday song died halfway through its chorus. What was meant to be a celebration turned into a moment no one in that hall would ever forget. Before we get into this shocking story of love, betrayal, and quiet vengeance, do me a favor. Like this story, subscribe if you love deep African dramas like this, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Now let's begin. Ariana Cole believed in milestones. She believed that some days were sacred, days that deserved to be remembered, honored, and celebrated with joy. Turning 40 was one of them. So was marking 15 years of marriage. To Ariana, those numbers were not signs of aging or routine. They were proof of endurance, loyalty, and love that had survived storms. That evening, the Cole family compound in Accra was glowing. Soft golden lights wrapped around palm trees. White and emerald green drapes fluttered gently in the night breeze. A live band played soulful high-life music, blending tradition with elegance. The scent of grilled goat meat, jollof rice, and spiced chicken filled the air, making guests sigh in satisfaction. Ariana stepped into the courtyard wearing a deep wine-colored lace gown that hugged her gracefully. Her hair was styled neatly, her face calm and radiant. At 40, she carried herself with the confidence of a woman who had lived, loved, and sacrificed deeply. Guests stood to applaud. Happy birthday, Ariana. 15 years strong. God has been faithful. She smiled warmly, nodding, greeting everyone with humility. Her parents beamed with pride. Her younger siblings whispered about how elegant she looked. Even her church friends wiped tears as they hugged her. But the proudest smile, or so Ariana believed, belonged to her husband. Dr. Victor Cole sat at the high table, dressed sharply in a tailored navy blue suit. A respected medical consultant, Victor had built a strong reputation over the years. People admired him. Men envied him. Women praised Ariana for standing by her man. And Ariana had truly stood by him. 15 years ago, when Victor had nothing but ambition and a small rented office, Ariana was already a trained accountant. She managed books by day and cooked by night. She paid bills quietly when his income was unstable. She listened patiently when clients disappointed him. She prayed when nothing else worked. Tonight, she believed all of that had led to this moment. The MC tapped the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced cheerfully, "tonight we celebrate not just a woman, but a wife of virtue. A double celebration, Madame Ariana Cole's 40th birthday and her 15th wedding anniversary." Applause thundered. Victor stood up, adjusting his suit. "My wife," he began, smiling broadly, "has been my backbone. Tonight, I have a special gift for her." Ariana's heart fluttered. She turned toward him, her eyes shining. This was it. Maybe a surprise trip. Maybe a new house. Maybe just words of appreciation she had waited years to hear. Victor gestured to a man standing near the edge of the hall. "Please," Victor said, "bring it." The man walked forward. He wasn't smiling. He wore a dark suit and carried a brown envelope. Ariana frowned slightly. Victor took the envelope, cleared his throat, and spoke louder so everyone could hear. "Ariana Cole," he said formally, "this is my gift to you." He handed her the envelope. Confused but still smiling, Ariana opened it. Her fingers trembled, not from excitement but from shock. Inside were legal documents. Divorce papers. The murmurs started immediately. Is this a joke? Maybe it's a prank? God forbid. Ariana slowly looked up at her husband. Victor did not smile back. Instead, he lifted his chin and said words that sliced through the celebration like a blade. "I want a divorce." Gasps erupted across the courtyard. Ariana's mother stood up abruptly. Her father's face hardened. Guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Victor continued, his voice cold, deliberate. "I have waited long enough. 15 years, Ariana. 15 years without a child." The words hung in the air, heavy and cruel. "You know how important legacy is to me," Victor added. "I need a woman who can give me children. A younger woman." Ariana's lips parted, but no words came out. Victor was not done. I have found someone else, he said plainly. A colleague. She understands me. She is capable. Somewhere in the crowd, a woman let out a quiet sob. This marriage, Victor concluded, has run its course. Tonight seemed like the perfect time to be honest. Silence swallowed the night. Ariana's hands tightened around the papers. Her face drained of color, but she did not cry. She did not shout. She did not fall apart the way Victor seemed to expect. Instead, she stood very still. Guests watched, holding their breath. Ariana, her sister whispered, tried to move toward her. Ariana gently raised her hand, signaling her to stop. She looked at Victor again, really looked at him. The man she had loved. The man she had built with. The man who had chosen her birthday, her anniversary, and a room full of witnesses to humiliate her. Victor misread her silence as defeat. I'll move out by the end of the week, he said. My lawyer has already prepared everything. Ariana folded the papers slowly and placed them back into the envelope. Then she lifted her head. Is that all? She asked calmly. Victor blinked, confused. Yes, he replied. That's all. Ariana nodded once. All right. That single word sent a ripple of confusion through the crowd. She turned to the guests, forcing a polite smile. Thank you all for coming, she said softly. Please enjoy the rest of the evening. And with that, Ariana Cole walked away from her own celebration, her heels steady, her back straight, her dignity intact, while whispers followed her into the night. Victor watched her go, unaware that the papers he had just handed her were not the end of the story. They were only the beginning. The party did not truly continue after Ariana walked away. It only pretended to. Music played, plates were refilled, and guests tried to act normal, but the joy had cracked. Conversations turned into whispers. Laughter sounded forced. People stole glances at Dr. Victor Cole, who now sat stiffly at the high table, pretending nothing unusual had happened. Victor hated silence, and tonight, silence followed him like a shadow. He stood up again, clearing his throat loudly. Everyone, he said, forcing a laugh, please don't misunderstand what just happened. These things occur in life. We are adults. No one responded. That was when Victor felt it, that sting of being judged. To regain control, he did what had always worked for him before. He spoke down. Ariana has always been emotional, he continued, waving his hand dismissively. But the truth is the truth. A marriage without children is incomplete. A few guests shifted uncomfortably. Some looked away. Victor scoffed. And honestly, people exaggerate her contribution to my success. She's an accountant, nothing more. A glorified cashier who balances numbers. Anyone could do that. That word, cashier, landed like poison. Ariana had not gone far. She stood just beyond the courtyard, near the garden fountain, her back to the crowd. She had removed her heels and placed them neatly beside her, grounding herself on the cool stone floor. She heard everything. Victor's voice carried clearly through the night air. She didn't build my firm, Victor went on. I did, with my intelligence, my connections, my hard work. Let's be honest, she only handled small things while I carried the real burden. The fountain water rippled softly. Ariana closed her eyes, not in pain, but in clarity. 15 years replayed themselves in her mind like a silent documentary. She saw herself at 25, signing documents she barely understood yet trusted him with. She saw herself selling her car to cover rent for his first office. She saw late nights reconciling accounts while Victor slept, exhausted but confident that things would work out. She remembered meetings where clients addressed Victor as Sir and her as Madam Secretary. She remembered choosing silence over pride, support over recognition. And now, he reduced her to a cashier. Inside the courtyard, Victor continued digging his own grave. You all think she's calm because she's strong, he said with a smug smile. No, she's calm because she knows she has nothing without me. That was when Ariana turned around. She picked up her heels, not to wear them, but to hold them in her hand, and walked back toward the crowd. Her steps were unhurried. Her face was composed, unreadable. Victor did not notice at first. Ariana stopped a few feet behind him. "Victor," she said quietly. Her voice cut through the noise like a blade through silk. Victor turned, startled. "Ariana," he said, irritation creeping into his tone. "I thought you left." "I came back," she replied evenly. "Because you're speaking about me." The guest leaned in. Phones that had been discreetly lowered earlier were now subtly raised again. Victor straightened. "I'm only telling the truth." Ariana nodded slowly. "Good," she said. "Then let's tell the full truth." She turned to the guests. "For 15 years, Ariana began, I supported my husband. Emotionally, financially, and domestically. While he studied, I worked. While he chased contracts, I managed our household. When his income failed, mine covered the gap." Victor scoffed. "You're exaggerating." Ariana looked at him calmly. "Am I?" She reached into her clutch and pulled out a slim folder. Victor's eyebrows knitted together. "What's that?" he asked. "Clarification," Ariana replied. She handed the folder to the MC. "Please read the title." The MC hesitated, then opened it. Cole Medical Consulting Ltd. Financial Management Authorization," he read aloud. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Ariana continued, her tone steady, controlled. 15 years ago, Victor authorized me, legally, to manage the finances of his consultant firm. That included accounts, investments, taxes, and assets." Victor laughed nervously. "That was just paperwork. For convenience." "Yes," Ariana agreed. "Convenience. Because you trusted me." She turned him fully now. "And because you trusted me, I did my job well." Victor's smile faded. "I balanced your books," Ariana said. "I paid your debts. I negotiated loans. I ensured your firm survived its weakest years." She took a breath. "And I did it quietly." The crowd was silent now. Victor tried to interrupt. "That still doesn't make you." "Let me finish," Ariana said, her voice firm but not loud. She turned back to the guests. "When Victor says I am just a cashier, he forgets one thing." She paused. "A cashier handles money that belongs to someone else." Her eyes flicked back to Victor. "I handled money that belonged to me, too." Victor's face stiffened. "What nonsense is that?" he snapped. Ariana met his gaze. "Do you remember the power of attorney you signed when you were hospitalized 10 years ago?" she asked. Victor opened his mouth, then closed it. "You were weak," Ariana continued. "You trusted me completely. You signed everything I asked you to sign." Victor's breathing quickened. "And because I am thorough," Ariana said, "I ensured every asset we built was protected." She reached for the microphone. The MC handed it to her without hesitation. "Victor believes he owns the firm," Ariana said into the mic. "He believes he owns the properties, the accounts, the lifestyle." She smiled faintly. "But belief is not ownership." A sharp inhale came from Victor's chest. "What are you saying?" he demanded. "I'm saying," Ariana replied calmly, "that for years I have legally managed and structured everything." Victor stepped closer. "You're bluffing." Ariana tilted her head. "Am I?" She gestured toward the entrance. 2 men and a woman stepped forward. They were dressed professionally, their expressions neutral. "My lawyers," Ariana said simply. The crowd erupted into whispers. Victor's voice dropped. "You brought lawyers to my party?" "Our party," Ariana corrected. "And yes, because you brought divorce papers." The female lawyer spoke. "Dr. Victor Cole," she said evenly, "we have reviewed the documents you served tonight." She looked at Ariana, then back at Victor. "And we have also reviewed the ownership structure of Cole Medical Consulting Limited." Victor swallowed. Ariana did not look away from him. "You wanted to humiliate me," she said softly. "Instead, you reminded me why I stayed silent for so long." Victor clenched his jaw. "You think numbers make you powerful?" Ariana smiled. Not warmly, but clearly. "No," she said. "Clarity does." She stepped closer, lowering her voice so only he could hear. "You underestimated me because I never needed to shout." Victor felt something unfamiliar twist in his chest. Fear. Ariana straightened and addressed the room one last time. "I will sign the divorce papers," she said calmly. "I have no intention of forcing myself into a marriage where I am disrespected." Victor exhaled sharply, relief flashing across his face. But Ariana wasn't done. I will also be reviewing every authorization, every asset, and every financial structure I have managed on Victor's behalf, she added. Her eyes locked onto his. Starting tonight. The relief drained from his face. Victor tried to laugh it off, but his voice came out thin. You can't just. I can. Ariana interrupted quietly. And I will. She handed the microphone back to the MC. Please, she said politely, continue the music. The band hesitated, then slowly resumed playing. Guests sat frozen, unsure whether they had just witnessed the end of a marriage or the beginning of something far more dangerous. Ariana turned and walked away again, this time not toward the garden, but toward the house. Victor remained standing, surrounded by people yet utterly alone. For the first time in 15 years, he realized something terrifying. Ariana Cole had never been weak. She had simply been waiting, and now she was awake. By morning, the truth had finished what the night started. Victor barely slept. His mind replayed Ariana's calm voice again and again. Belief is not ownership. He convinced himself it was intimidation, nothing more. Ariana had always been careful, yes, but surely she wouldn't go that far. Surely everything was still his. By noon, that illusion collapsed. Victor sat in a sleek conference room at his clinic, fingers tapping impatiently on the glass table. His personal lawyer, Mr. Danjuma, flipped through documents with a frown that deepened by the second. Victor, the lawyer said slowly, I need you to listen very carefully. Victor scoffed. Just tell me what trick she's trying to pull. Mr. Danjuma pushed a file across the table. This is not a trick. Victor opened it. His confident smirk faded. Inside were property titles, bank account statements, shareholding structures, corporate registration papers, all neatly organized, all stamped, signed, and legally binding, and all bearing one name, Ariana Cole. Victor's throat went dry. That can't be right, he stammered. Those are my properties. Mr. Danjuma adjusted his glasses. They're properties you use, not properties you own. Victor flipped through the pages frantically. The consultant firm building, Ariana's name. The private residence they lived in, Ariana's name. The investment accounts funding their lifestyle, Ariana's name. Even the luxury SUV he drove, leased under Ariana's financial trust. This is madness, Victor snapped. She's my wife. That does not automatically make you the owner, Mr. Danjuma interrupted gently, especially when the assets were structured under her accounting firm and personal trusts. Victor slammed the file shut. So you're telling me I have nothing? Mr. Danjuma hesitated. I'm telling you, he said carefully, that everything you believed you owned was built using resources legally tied to Ariana. Loans secured under her credit. Investments made through her accounts. Registrations filed under her authority. Victor's chest tightened. All these years, he whispered. Yes, the lawyer said quietly. All these years. Meanwhile, Ariana sat across a long mahogany table in her own office, an office Victor had never bothered to visit. Her lawyer surrounded her, calm and prepared. The structure is airtight, the female lawyer said. Every asset was acquired through entities you controlled. Victor had access, not ownership. Ariana nodded once. She was not celebrating. She was simply listening. And the firm? Ariana asked. The consultant firm is registered as a subsidiary under your financial management company, another lawyer replied. Victor is listed as managing director, but without majority ownership. Ariana exhaled slowly. So if he challenges this, he can't win, the lawyer said plainly. At best, he can negotiate. That word, negotiate, was exactly what Ariana expected. 2 days later, Victor requested a meeting. He arrived early, dressed sharply, trying to reclaim authority with appearance alone. Ariana arrived on time, carrying no file, no bag, just quiet confidence. They sat across from each other. Victor forced a smile. Ariana, let's be reasonable. She looked at him steadily. I am. You know, I built that firm, Victor said. My reputation. My clients. You built your reputation, Ariana replied calmly. I built the structure that sustained it. Victor leaned forward. This doesn't have to get ugly. Ariana's lips curved slightly. It already did. You chose the venue. Silence stretched. Victor sighed dramatically. Fine. What do you want? Ariana folded her hands. I want order, she said. And closure. Victor blinked. Meaning, Ariana continued. I will not strip you of your livelihood. Victor's shoulders relaxed a little, but she added, I will strip you of illusion. She slid a single document across the table. Victor picked it up. Employee agreement? He read, incredulous. Yes, Ariana said. A revised one. His jaw tightened. You expect me to work for you? Ariana met his gaze without flinching. I expect you to work for the firm, she said. Under the firm's actual owner. Victor laughed bitterly. This is humiliation. No, Ariana corrected gently. This is reality. He skimmed the terms. Reduced authority. Performance-based compensation. No unilateral financial access. Mandatory oversight. This is a downgrade, Victor snapped. It's accurate, Ariana replied. You can keep your position, your clinic access, your professional identity. She leaned in slightly. She continued, you can attempt to buy out assets you never legally owned. Victor froze. You'd lose, Ariana said calmly. And you know it. He clenched the document. You planned this. I prepared, Ariana said. There's a difference. Victor's voice dropped. You're enjoying this. Ariana's expression hardened, not with anger, but disappointment. No, she said softly. I'm correcting it. He looked away, shame flickering across his face. You took everything from me, he muttered. Ariana shook her head slowly. I gave you everything, she replied. You chose to throw it away. Silence returned, heavier this time. Victor exhaled sharply. And if I refuse? Ariana didn't hesitate. Then I dissolve access, she said. Freeze accounts, reassign contracts, and let the firm survive without you. Victor swallowed. You wouldn't dare. I already have, Ariana said. She stood, signaling the meeting was over. You have 48 hours, she said calmly. Decide whether you want dignity with accountability or pride with nothing. Victor watched her walk out. For the first time since he handed her those divorce papers, Victor understood the full weight of his mistake. Ariana had not taken revenge in anger. She had taken control in silence. And the reckoning had only just begun. Victor did not sign the agreement within 48 hours. Instead, panic pushed him toward arrogance. He convinced himself there had to be a way out. Some loophole Ariana had missed, some hidden path that would return everything to him. So he hired a second lawyer, then a third. He ordered internal audits. He demanded emergency board meetings. He even tried calling old clients, hoping influence would succeed where logic failed. None of it worked. And then something far worse surfaced. It began quietly, the way truth usually does. One of Ariana's senior auditors, someone she trusted deeply, noticed irregular transfers while reviewing historical firm records. The pattern was subtle. Small amounts moved consistently over time, always just below thresholds that would trigger automatic alerts. The auditor flagged it. Ariana reviewed the report herself. Her face did not change, but her eyes sharpened. Trace it, she said simply. Within 48 hours, the full picture emerged. Victor had been siphoning funds from the consultant firm for nearly 2 years. Not for business expansion, not for emergencies, for gifts, luxury hotel stays, private trips, and discreet apartment rent. All for the same woman, the younger colleague, the one he had proudly announced at Ariana's birthday party. Ariana sat in silence as the evidence was laid out before her. Bank statements, transaction logs, emails authorizing false reimbursements, falsified expense claims. There was no room for denial. Her lawyers exchanged looks. This qualifies as embezzlement, one said carefully. Clear misuse of company funds. Another added, criminal charges would stick. Ariana closed the file. Bring him in, she said. Victor arrived that evening, his confidence visibly cracked. He had aged in days, dark circles under his eyes, tension etched into his jaw. He sat across from Ariana again, this time without bravado. "You wanted to see me," he said. "Yes," Ariana replied calmly. "I wanted to show you something." She slid a folder across the table. Victor opened it. His hands began to shake. This isn't what it looks like," he stammered. Ariana watched him quietly. "You use company funds to finance your affair," she said evenly. "You forge approvals. You disguise transfers." Victor swallowed hard. "It was temporary," he said weakly. "I was going to replace the money." "With what?" Ariana asked. Silence. Her lawyer leaned forward. "Dr. Cole, the evidence here supports criminal prosecution." Victor's breath hitched. "You wouldn't," he whispered, looking at Ariana. "After everything, you wouldn't do that to me." Ariana studied him. 15 years ago, she might have cried. Tonight, she simply spoke. "I could," she said, "and I would be justified." Victor's shoulders sagged. "But," Ariana continued, "I don't need prison to teach you consequences." He looked up confused. "I'm offering leniency," she said calmly. "On one condition." Hope flickered in his eyes. "You will comply fully," Ariana said. "You will accept the employee agreement. You will cooperate with financial restitution. And you will leave my personal life untouched." Victor nodded quickly. "Yes, anything." And, she added, "you will never again claim what was never yours." Tears welled in his eyes, not from remorse, but from humiliation. "I agree," he whispered. Ariana slid another document toward him. "Sign." He did. That signature ended one chapter and opened another, one far more unforgiving. Because leniency does not erase truth. It only delays exposure. The fallout was swift. Whispers spread through professional circles first, then murmurs, then full conversations. Victor's affair partner, once so confident, so visible at conferences and clinics, began to pull away. She stopped answering his calls. She canceled their plans. When confronted, she didn't pretend. "This isn't what I signed up for," she said coldly. "I thought you were powerful." "I am," Victor insisted desperately. "This is temporary." She laughed. "Power doesn't beg." Within a week, she was gone. Transferred clinics. Changed numbers. Erased him from her life. Victor's humiliation did not stay private. Internal restructuring at the consultant firm became public knowledge. Contracts were reassigned. Ariana's name began appearing where Victor's once dominated. At the clinic, Victor was no longer introduced as founder. He was now senior consultant. And everyone noticed. Colleagues who once sought his approval now passed him by. Younger doctors whispered. Administrators enforced protocols he had once ignored. He reported to a supervisor half his age. Meetings he once chaired, he now attended in silence. The same man who had mocked Ariana as a cashier now submitted expense reports for approval. The irony was not lost on anyone. At social events, invitations stopped coming. At professional gatherings, smiles were polite but distant. His reputation, once pristine, now carried an unspoken stain. A man who betrayed his wife. A man who abused trust. A man who fell from grace. Victor felt it every day. Meanwhile, Ariana thrived quietly. She did not gloat. She did not grant interviews. She simply worked. She expanded the firm, diversified investments, and strengthened governance. Clients respected her calm authority. Staff admired her fairness. She did not speak Victor's name. She didn't have to. Every time he walked into the office, every time he lowered his head to sign out, every time he followed instructions he once gave, his reality spoke for her. One evening, Victor crossed paths with Ariana in the hallway. She looked radiant, peaceful, untouched by the chaos he lived in. "Ariana," he said softly. She stopped. "I never meant to destroy everything," he murmured. She looked at him, not with anger, not with pity, but with finality. "You didn't destroy everything," she said. "You revealed it." She walked away. Victor stood there, understanding too late that his punishment was not loss. It was survival without respect. And as Ariana stepped into the future she had reclaimed, the world slowly began to see her, not as a woman scorned, but as a woman reborn. A year can change everything, especially when it is lived in truth. After the storm Victor created faded into whispers and cautionary tales, Ariana Cole stepped fully into a life she had quietly postponed for years. The world now knew her as a powerful financial mind, but Ariana herself was rediscovering something deeper: peace. She moved out of the house that once echoed with tension and expectation and into a warm, sunlit home overlooking the city. It wasn't bigger or louder, it was calmer. Mornings began without anxiety. Nights ended without silent resentment. For the first time in a long while, Ariana slept deeply. Professionally, she flourished. Under her leadership, the consultant firm grew stronger, cleaner, and more respected. Clients praised its transparency. Young accountants sought her mentorship. Women in business quietly mentioned her name as proof that patience paired with wisdom could still win. Yet Ariana did not become hardened. She laughed more. She traveled. She joined a book club. She returned to painting, something she had abandoned early in her marriage because it wasn't practical. Now, practicality no longer ruled her joy. It was at a charity fundraising dinner for urban renewal projects that Ariana met Elias Moreau. He was not loud. He did not dominate the room. He stood slightly apart, observing more than speaking, dressed simply but elegantly. An architect by profession, Elias had built a reputation for designing spaces that respected both people and culture. Their first conversation was easy. "You don't look like someone who enjoys these events," Ariana said lightly. Elias smiled. "I enjoy the cause, not the noise." She laughed. "Then we already agree on something." They spoke about cities, about balance, about how buildings, like people, should be designed with intention, not ego. Elias listened when Ariana spoke. He didn't interrupt. He didn't explain her own expertise back to her. When he learned she was an accountant and business owner, his respect didn't shift, it deepened. "I admire people who build systems," he said. "They hold the world together quietly." That sentence stayed with Ariana. Their relationship unfolded gently. No rush, no pressure. Elias never asked about her past unless she chose to share. And when she did, when she finally spoke of betrayal, of public humiliation, of quiet revenge, he did not flinch. "You survived it with dignity," he said. "That tells me everything I need to know about you." Elias had children from a previous marriage, two bright, curious souls who carried both vulnerability and strength. Ariana approached them carefully, respectfully. She did not try to replace anyone. She simply showed up. She helped with homework. She listened. She celebrated small victories. And in return, they gave her something she never demanded: acceptance. One evening, after watching the children fall asleep, Elias turned to Ariana. "They adore you," he said softly. Ariana smiled. "I adore them too." In that moment, something inside her healed completely. A year later, Ariana stood in the same mirror she once faced on her 40th birthday, but she was not the same woman. Her eyes were brighter, her posture lighter. She was pregnant. The news had come quietly, almost shyly, during a routine checkup. Ariana had sat frozen as the doctor smiled. "It's a healthy pregnancy," the doctor said. Ariana cried, not from longing fulfilled, but from gratitude. Elias held her that night, without words, his hand resting gently over her stomach. "This child," he whispered, "will know nothing but love." Months later, Ariana gave birth to a baby girl. The delivery room was filled with calm laughter, whispered prayers, and steady hands. When the baby cried for the first time, Ariana closed her eyes, tears streaming freely. She named her Amara, meaning grace. Victor heard the news through distant channels. He did not attend. He did not comment. He simply carried the weight of knowing that the woman he once discarded had gone on to build a life richer than the one he had imagined without her. Ariana never spoke ill of him. She didn't need to. Her happiness spoke louder than any revenge ever could. Years later, when people spoke of Ariana Cole, they no longer defined her by betrayal or drama. They spoke of a woman who chose composure over chaos, clarity over conflict, and growth over bitterness. She was loved, not for what she endured, but for who she became. And as Ariana watched her daughter take her first steps in the arms of a man who saw her as an equal, she knew one thing for certain. Some endings are not tragedies. They are invitations. Now, what do you think about this story? Do you agree with Ariana's calm, calculated response? Or do you think Victor deserves something harsher? Was Elias the kind of love Ariana needed? Or should she have chosen solitude instead? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from, and let's talk.